Hi you guys, welcome back to our M&M Rustics channel. Today I am so excited to be sharing our DIY shiplap for cheap. You guys, we did this for like 43 cents per square foot. We used underlayment, plywood, and it turned out so beautifully. I am so pumped to get into this part one to our shiplap DIY. I hope you guys enjoy, and if you have any comments or questions, leave it down below and we will get back to you as soon as possible. But let's hop on into today's video. All right guys, let's hop right into the DIY. What you're going to need is 1/5 inch by 4 foot by 8 foot hardwood plywood underlayment panels. So this is just plywood sheets. We got this from Home Depot for $13.98 a sheet, and that comes out to be about 43 or 44 cents per square foot. This is the cheapest way that we could do this. A lot of people will strip it down like we are doing here. They will strip it down into 6-inch planks, but we actually did 8-inch planks because we like a wider plank on the wall. It doesn't seem so busy, and you can actually get the wall done a little bit quicker if you do 8-inch. So if you like the wider plank, do the 8-inch. I highly recommend it. So what we're doing here, like I said, is we are stripping down those panels, and you will have a little bit excess. Save those excess boards for later because you might have a goofy cut if you're going around a window, or if you just have like a sliver when it comes to the end of the wall where like the floor trim is. So set that aside, and the next thing you're gonna wanna do is to sand down all edges of the sheets. You're going to want to sand down all edges and like the front, so the smooth side of your plywood. We just did this by hand with a 220 grit, and we just made sure that there weren't any like fuzzies on there, and we made sure that everything was nice and smooth, so that way there wasn't too much of a wood texture coming through when we put it on the wall. Now here, my husband is putting up the planks on the wall. We used Loctite to get the planks on the wall and to prevent them from warping in the future. And then we just air nailed them directly to the wall with brad nails. We use an 18 gauge brad nailer, and we use a nickel. Actually, we use several nickels to space out the boards on the wall. No need for any fancy spacers. Just if you have a few nickels on hand, boom, use those. I've seen so many people use nickels. So we are not the only ones that use this method, but when you're laying them on the wall, you're going to want to stagger them. You don't want all of the lines to match up perfectly, so that is what we are showing here in this part of the video, is that you're going to want to stagger the boards so that those lines don't all match up in the very end. Now, the tricky part for us is this wall. We have like the tallest ceilings in our house. They're like 12 or 13 foot ceilings. They're so tall. So right where Mike is standing, there is a like 13-foot drop to the first floor. So it was a little bit scary standing up on the ladder and like trying to secure these boards over the stairway. So getting over that stairway was the hardest. But here we are showing you that we are putting the Loctite on the panels. Again, we use Loctite, which is pretty cheap. It's a couple dollars per tube. We just went to Menards for this. You can get it at Home Depot as well. But this is going to prevent the warping in the future. So even though these might be super secured with your brad nails, what will happen over time is the boards will tend to pull away a little bit. You know, this is a cheaper plywood. So since we are using a cheaper material to do the shiplap, the Loctite just prevents all of the warping that comes along with the cheaper wood or cheaper boards. So anyways, all right. We're gonna get to laying here, and I will leave everything linked down below for you guys. If you guys are new to our channel, we are M&M Rustics, and my husband and I started this business about 6 years ago, and we started with making signs, then transformed into making barn gates and barn doors and barn door media centers, and then coffee tables and end tables, and now we do a lot of built-ins and mud rooms and dining tables and huge projects. We are now sharing all of our tips and tricks and secrets with you guys in our videos and over on our blog, which will be linked down below for you. We are so excited to be starting this new journey over here on YouTube and on the blog to tell you just everything that we've learned over the years and how we've evolved as far as woodworkers, and showing you that you guys are more than capable of doing it yourself, and showing you how to do everything on a dime, cheap and easy type of tutorials here on the channel, as well as some decor DIY videos as well. So I am going to leave you guys there, and I will hop back in here once I start to prep the surface for painting. Something else that I wanted to point out in this part of the video is when we are going around a really difficult edge. So this banister, for example, we will measure everything out as far as what the dimensions are for that really weird banister, and we will put those dimensions out on the board and draw it out so that when we go back to cutting, and we will use anything from a jigsaw to a table saw to maybe even a miter saw to make those cuts, those very intricate cuts. I would recommend a jigsaw if you are in the beginner stage and you want to make those really small intricate cuts. But it really helps if you just measure everything out and draw it out on the plywood sheet itself. And if you mess it up, that's okay. And if it's not perfect, our little hint to you is use some caulk around the edges and smooth everything out in the end, so that you can't see any jagged cuts or edges that maybe got a little bit messed up when you were trying to make those cuts. So again, using that caulking at the very end can just really create a seamless look. right, so hopping into your next step, after you have your boards up on the wall, you're going to fill in the holes. Now, you don't need to do this part. I wanted more of a smooth finish. If you want even more of a rustic finish to your shiplap, you can definitely leave the nail holes. But I filled it in with a wood filler, and once I was done with that, I went back through and I sanded everything down. Now, if you decide to fill in the holes and sand them, make sure that you ventilate your area thoroughly because it will get dusty. I used a hand sander in combination with an orbital sander to smooth out the holes that I had filled with the wood filler. After you are done sanding, then you will want to wipe down the wall as best as you can. I actually used my vacuum in combination with a microfiber cloth to get all of the dust and particles off of the panels so that when it came to painting, I didn't have a ton of texture or grittiness on the wall. Now we're gonna get into the painting. So for our paint, we used a true one coat white, which we used Paramount Paints in their true one coat. We purchased this from Menards and we swear by it. It is about $45 to $50 per can, but it saves you so much time and actually saves you money in the long run because you don't need to prime and paint. And if you get a cheaper paint and choose not to prime, it's gonna take you 3 layers, trust me, because we shiplapped our media wall in the past with a cheaper like $15 paint. I did not prime it and it took us like 3 or 4 coats to really cover the shiplap. So this way you are able to do an all-in-one. This is really honestly a true one coat, and it took me no time at all to get this area painted. I was so excited because painting is not my thing, friends. I do not love painting. Even though I have all the projects in mind, I don't want to paint at all. So get yourself a true one coat, do yourself a favor because the project will go by so much faster. So when I paint, I start out with the edging because it is the worst part. And when I have the energy in the beginning of painting, I might as well get the more difficult things out of the way. And now here I am starting to roll on that paint. And as you can see, seriously, the best one coat ever. I'm not even gonna need any touch-ups or anything like that. And I also want to mention that I left just a little bit of like texture and wood grain like coming through on certain parts, and we also left those, we call them butt seams, we left the seams showing because I wanted there to be a little bit more texture. Now you can definitely fill in those seams with wood filler similar to the nail hole filling if you want more of a seamless shiplap look. But like I said, I was going more for like a warm cottagey type of feel, so I did leave those seams just the way that they were. All right, you guys, and this was the finished product. Now I want to mention that this like media wall jut out, we did do vertical shiplap. So basically the exact same thing that we did for the horizontal shiplap, but we flip-flopped it so that it was vertical and we painted it a green. Now we still need to finish up the sides of that media wall, but I wanted to quick get that face front done before I got my Christmas decorations up. And I'm loving the green. I'm very much so a black and white and gray kind of gal. And I am loving this pop of color, especially with the boho farmhouse vibes. It just comes together so nicely. So we have quite a bit of shiplap left to do here. We need to finish up the rest of this main area. So stay tuned for a part 2 to this video, and we will share it all once we are done from beginning to end to show you guys what this room looks like all shiplapped, which I know sounds crazy, but shiplap adds so much texture and warmth. Even though it's white, it adds just this warm, cozy, cottagey like feel to your house. And I hope that you guys found some tips and tricks and useful tools in this tutorial. Again, we will be back for a part 2 in a couple of weeks. If you guys like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're new here, we'd love if you subscribe to our channel. I also have a personal channel where I show behind the scenes of decorating and cleaning and all of the motivation over on my Morgan Byland channel, which I will leave linked down below for you as well. All right, you guys, we will see you next week for another DIY. Okay, bye guys.